Hey everyone, and welcome back to another devlog for YourShot, and quite possibly the last one in a while. More on that later. Over the past few months, I've admittedly been slacking on pretty much everything related to YourShot. I finished most core systems for the game a while ago, but just didn't have any motivation for anything else related to the game. As of now, I've been working semi-regularly on YourShot for well over a year now, and I don't plan on permanently stopping, but I think I definitely need to take a break. A few major things that were either left or I was unsure about while I was completing the core systems for the game were the inventory system as well as the main menu, which comes with having to make a few other things such as save slots and whatnot, and those are things that I wrapped up in this devlog. By the way, if you're new here and don't really know what YourShot is, it's a blend between JRPG and top-down shooter, heavily inspired by RPGs from the SNES era. So the first thing that I did was basically just change the tileset for the game, and that actually ended up being a huge waste of my time because I didn't realize that these tiles look more like platformer tilesets than top-down ones. So after some feedback, I did actually end up completely changing them later on. Next up, I started to work on the main menu for the game, and you're probably going like, Ibrahim, isn't it too early to make a main menu for the game? And well, yeah, but I'm too lazy to do anything else. So first off, I made the title screen, which is the first thing that shows up when you boot up the game, and using Unity's new input system, I was able to efficiently check if any key or gamepad button was pressed, and then allow you to move on to the second menu. The second menu currently has two buttons, one that takes you to the options menu and the other which takes you to the slot selection menu. The options menu currently looks empty, but I wrote this cool offset effect thing which looks pretty epic. Finally, the slot selection menu. This, as the name suggests, lets you select slots. A slot is marked as empty if it's unused, or displays your current location and playtime if the file associated with the slot actually holds any data. Basically how this works is that from the moment you hit play, there's a persistent game object that tracks your playtime as well as the current area you're playing on, and saves it to the file of the slot you're currently on when you interact with the save point. Next up, I made a dedicated save panel for when you trigger a save point. Previously, I was using my choice system that I had made, but the problem with that was that there wasn't really a clean or performant way to give feedback when the file had been saved, so you pretty much just didn't know if the file actually did save or not. This new design actually aims to give more feedback on the save status after you hit the save button, and it just provides more information overall about where and what you're saving, like the player's current playtime, location, etc. After that, I finally decided to take a final decision on whether I want an inventory system for the game or not. I talked to a bunch of people, and a lot of them considered an inventory system essential for a JRPG. I personally just don't agree with this take because I don't want to just force a mechanic or feature in just because it fits with the classical tropes of that genre. But what I was interested in exploring were all the things that came with having an inventory system, such as the ability to hold multiple armors, maybe use items that give you certain status effects, or permanent effects even. I know it's nothing groundbreaking obviously, things like these have been done a million times before, but what's more important was to look at how it would fit within the context of the game. That's something I was really interested in exploring further, but at the same time, I really don't want to make YourShot a micromanagement simulator, so I really need to figure out a balance between the two. Finally, I made a bunch of optimizations to the game. Most of these optimizations just included removing the many static find functions that I'd used ages ago when I didn't know about their performance cost, but I did manage to eliminate a vast majority of them, and the game runs much smoother now. I also overhauled the way armor is saved and loaded, opting for RESOURCES.LOAD, which basically tries to load the armor using its ID, because just having a giant array of armors and having to manually add one to the array in the inspector each time was, not optimal. So yeah, that was about all the work I've done on YourShot for the past few months. I think attempting to constantly work on YourShot has kind of backfired from what I intended to happen in terms of my productivity and motivation. I thought not having anything else to work on other than YourShot would have made me have way more time to focus on it, and while that's true to an extent, it just feels like the more time I spend consecutively working on it, the less productive I seem to become. Don't worry though, because I have some really cool stuff planned that I'm going to be working on during this break, and I'll try to document it all here. YourShot will also probably resume development at some point in the near future. So yeah, that was about it. Peace.